Hey y'all. What's up? What's up? There we go. You know the cameras don't always want to work every time. It's always something. All right. I hope y'all ready because I'm ready. I'm going to try to keep it not too long, but this is one heck of a topic today, y'all. I am telling you. Today's topic is amazing. I cannot wait. Hey, hey. I'm so excited, you guys. We're going to give people like 2 minutes because I got to hop into it today. Because we talk about young adult-ish today. I've been waiting for this topic all week. Y'all just don't know. It's just one of those topics that I was just like, whoo, we're going to go in today. And I hope that everybody is excited. So, from that, we're going to go ahead and hop into for adult-ish experiences. So, adult-ish experiences. Adulthood that we're talking about is going to be the developmental years that we recognize in psychology as between the ages of 18 and 35. So yes, some of us are technically still considered young adults according to what research considers what the young adult development ages are. Although most of us that have hit 21, we like, nah, we grown. We all the way adult. I'm not a young adult anymore. And then even the ones that are 30 and up, we still try to let the millennials know that we're much older, we're much wiser. So how do our young adult experiences shape our identity? So I'm going to start by kind of sharing a personal story that if you know me, like I've probably shared this story with you before, or I've at some point have had this conversation with you. So when I was in college, my freshman year of college, I came from an all-girls school, Catholic school. I've been in Catholic school my whole entire life. Never in my life did I ever have to worry about what to wear to school because it was always a uniform. It was just something that was not a part of my identity to have like fashion or style. Only time I wore clothes was like on the weekends, and I was going to ballet and all types of organizational stuff that had requirements. So I never really had like this is my fashion sense, this is my identity, what I wear and how I do my hair. So freshman year of college, first semester, I think I wore sweatpants, basketball shorts, t-shirts, and pajamas every day. Like, didn't matter. Every day I wore it. Only time you caught me in something different is when I had on my cheerleading uniform or cheer practice clothes because we had a game or we had practice. So I had a good friend of mine at the time, still good friends, shout out to my Hannah, who in my spring semester was like, yo, I am tired of you wearing basketball shorts, pajamas, sweatpants, like to campus, just chilling to class. He challenged me. He was like, I bet you can't, dress up, or I bet you can't wear something else. And I was like, man, you're not going to challenge me. And so I accepted the challenge. It was that one experience, I promise y'all, I have never, unless I'm running an errand, I have never, ever since that day wore sweatpants, basketball shorts, or pajamas, like just on a regular day. It changed my identity. It changed who I was. I started to find myself even in that one challenge from a friend. So these college years, whether you choose to go to college or you choose to enter into a career or do a trade, are like some really, really like important years in your identity development. And there's certain reasons why. So before young adulthood, your identity was really isolated. It was very much internal. It wasn't something that you necessarily had to mold or shape or bend to other ideals, because your ideals are kind of limited between 0 and 18. It's very plain and simple. You live with your parents. You do what your parents say. You follow the rules. You go to school. You follow school rules. You go home. So it's very, you finding yourself is very much isolated. It's very much like, okay, yeah, you might have friends and that's cool, but they got rules too. And you can't follow their rules because what's that one thing your mama gonna tell you? I ain't so-and-so's mama. So you gonna do what I tell you to do. You not gonna do what somebody else's mama said to do. Or you're not gonna be what somebody else's mama said to be. Typical black mama response. But then you go to college, or you get to that 18 point, and you get to that point where your mom was like, well, you 18 now, you on your own, you do what you do. And we have to figure out who we are. Because for 17, 18 years, we've been who our parents who have expected us to be. We have been who our parents shaped us to be. And there are other factors that start to come into play. We start to look at our gender identity. And, you know, am I, you know, gay? Am I straight? Am I, you know, it's like I love all colors. Like, do I want to be with animals? I don't know. But it's your point where you're trying to figure out, well, who am I? Am I male? Am I female? You know, am I ice queen, if that's what it is for you? Then you start to realize different social class identities that you can like kind of move around. This is kind of like the first time that you go off to college and you start to experience like other social classes. I remember my first college experience. Back in where I came from in my high school, I was up here. I was like, girl, you good. You covered, like, I was considered like middle class, real good living, and then went to college and saw, oh, people live way better than I ever have and ever will. You know, you start to get a view of the world around you differently. And then you start to realize, well, oh, well, I like how that person carried that, or man, I like how this group did something else, or man, that group over there is really interesting. And so you start to figure out, like, there are other parts of me that I've never explored. And so we go through this exploration stage when we get to those young adolescent years. And, you know, you make some mistakes. You make some choices. You go to a couple of fraternity parties and turn it out and tee up, and then you realize that that's not your identity. And so there's just so many aspects to the young adult experience that really allows you to figure out who you are. Politics comes into play. I mean, as soon as you hit 18, they tell you go vote. Who the hell am I supposed to vote for? Like, who am I politically? You know, even in those first couple years of like, you're 18, you got to vote. Voting is important. I think I probably just asked my mom, like, who am I supposed to vote for? Because I don't know. I don't know my political identity. What's my national identity right now? Nationally, I've been known as, you know, a student from age 0 to age 17, but I'm still a student, but I'm a college student that has the ability to go and do other things and engage in other surroundings and travel. And if I choose not to go to college, I can go be an artist and move to S.L.A., or I can go to Broadway and move to New York. Who does the nation see me as? What does society see me as now? Like, I'm no longer just my parents' child. I'm this entity that is inside of a world that needs me to function for the world to function. And so a lot of times what happens in that like 18 to 35 range, we are truly trying to figure out who the hell we are. And I can definitely attest to that's something that I've dealt with. It's just like, who are you, Lauren? And you ask those questions and you try things. You try different social groups. You're like, okay, I'm going to go kick it with the nerds. Nope, that didn't work. Oh, I'm going to go kick it with the jocks. Nope, that didn't work. You just kind of go through this trial and error for so long about like, who am I? Who am I? You try all these different avenues. And in that process of trying different things, you shape your identity. Shaping your identity in this 18 to 35 years is super, super important. I'm going to tell you guys some stuff that I found in research that I found really interesting that I didn't know until I, you know, dive in. Like I said, every week I dive into research about this. And I found this amazing, that the foundation for the sense of self is referenced as achieving your identity. So there's a connection to a sense of self and achieving your identity. So Lauren, what's a sense of self? So that's having that inner ability to really look deep down inside you and say, like, who am I? You know, you turn 18, all of a sudden you're forced to separate from the parent. You're forced to separate and become your own, but you've never been on your own. And so there's a lot of confusion that can come with that. There's a lot of not really understanding who you are and putting yourself in positions where you're like, man, because I don't have a sense of self, you know, I'm going to just go do what this crowd does, or, you know, I'm just going to engage in everything. But while you're doing that, while you're going through adult-ish stuff, there's a lot of hurt involved. There's a lot of pain involved. There's a lot of barriers and walls that get built up. And I think that we don't share this information enough with each other or with young teenagers. I think it's very, very important that you get a sense of self in high school. And once you get a sense of self, then maybe that young adult years would just be a little bit easier to deal with. You still gonna do some stuff. You still gonna make some choices and they not be the right choices. And then you're gonna make some other choices that are the right choices. And you are gonna figure out who you are. You are gonna figure out what your interests are and who you identify as. And once you find that sense of self, you'll truly start to achieve your identity. You know, I can say that my young adult experiences have really shaped my identity is like knowing that my sense of self foundationally is my faith, and like not being ashamed of that, because that's a big part too. It's like, if you're gonna find sense of self, you can't be ashamed of it. You can't hide it. You can't choose to not want to be it no matter what crowd you're in front of. You can't choose to say, okay, today I'm gonna be a sense of self and tomorrow I'm not. You have to find the confidence deep down inside of you that is so strong and so large and so in charge and so powerful that it doesn't matter. My group over here that may be Christian gonna accept me, and my group over here that may not be Christian is gonna accept me, because guess what? I have a sense of self. I know who I am. And because I know who I am, I can engage in the opportunities, excuse me guys, that's gonna shape my identity. And so foundationally, there are a few things that can happen once you achieve this identity. When you choose the identity, it's going to signify some commitment. Commitment to who you are. Commitment to not bending or shaping to someone else's expectation of you. I like that. Again, sense of self and achieving your identity is commitment to yourself. Commitment to not bending or shaping for someone else. Like that guy that tells you that you can't do this or you shouldn't do that, cut it off, because that's not who you are. And you have to find foundationally who you are so that you and commit to that, and don't change for anybody, because guess what? It's somebody out there. There's someone else that's gone through a similar experience. There's someone else that has gone through that identity acceptance, that has a sense of self, that will accept you for who you are. Then you're going to explore, different areas in that achieving of yourself. You'll foundationally be like, okay, cool. I know I'm all about the faith. I'm all about psychology, and I'm all about women empowerment. You know, these are things that I know these are good about me. You know, these are things like I think I'm a fashion icon sometimes. Hey, sense of self. I don't care what anybody else has to say. This is my opinion of me. Once I make that commitment to that, then I want to start exploring different areas. You know, I did that. I explored, and maybe the hardest decision ever is like, I did change churches. I did change faith. I was someone that grew up Catholic my whole life, went through all the sacraments, like legit, and had gotten to a point in my adult life that I lost a sense of self. Like, I didn't know who I was. And I was struggling, and I couldn't figure out foundationally what that was. And what that loss of sense of self feels like, it almost feels like depression. Like, you don't want to get up. You feel like you're putting on a mask every time you go out. You feel like you're putting on a mask every time you enter in a space with people. You feel like, you know, you're a blob or a ghost in a room, that no one sees you, that you don't even see yourself. All those feelings come up, and if they're coming up for you right now, I challenge you to really think about it. Like, have you really accepted and committed to your sense of self? Like, are you really there? Because I think sometimes we can trick ourselves into thinking like, I know who I am, this is who I am, and I'm good. But if you come home every night and you question that, you question who you are, it's really worth reevaluating. It's really worth looking at it again and saying, hey, is this truly who I am? And so that happened to me. I was like, you know what? I finally broke down. I was like, it's time for a change. This is not how I'm identifying myself anymore. Catholicism is what my mother identified with and then made me identify with because that was our faith. And I agreed with it and it was fine. And I found, myself in that. But as we grow and develop, things change. Like I said in the beginning, like identity is forever evolving and ever shaping itself so that you are continually identifying yourself with where you're at in those developmental stages. We never stop developing. Our bodies never stop growing and changing. Our minds never stop growing and changing. We are ever developing and ever evolving until the day we die. So why wouldn't our identity do the same? And so after we've committed to sense of self, after we've started to explore the different commitments to the sense of self that maybe we weren't exploring before, it's time to internalize it. It's time to really take that thing in and say, let me put my stamp on this identity. This is who I am. When I walk out this door, people are going to be able to look at me and say, man, that's a woman of faith. Man, that's a girl that knows how to dress. Man, that's a girl that supports other women. Man, they're going to be able to see that because you're going to start to walk out and show your identity in everything that you do. It's going to radiate in your work at home, in your schoolwork, in your church life, in your social life, because you'll get to the point you will cut the ones off that don't accept your identity. You will cut the ones off that don't see you for who you are or don't identify themselves with one of your areas of your identity. That's a lot of times why girls have multiple friends and multiple friend groups. Like you got that one, like I got my home girls that I maybe known since like high school, like they ain't going nowhere. They know all the identity changes that have happened over the years. Then you got your other girls that's like, they know my ratchet identity, so I'm gonna hang with my ratchet friends tonight. I might not want to put the ratchet friends and the Christian friends together, but those are all still who I am. And guess what? I have no shame in that. I have no shame in being a faithful Christian. I have no shame in turning up with my girls. It is all a part of who I am. It's all a part of my foundation. It's all what I know is a sense of me. So all this young adult-ish that y'all going through, be glad. Accept it, good or bad. It's making you who you are. It's helping shape your identity so that you can fulfill your purpose on this earth. So someone else who's struggling with that identity can look at you and say, man, Vicky, how you get that way, girl? Girl, I got a sense of self. I know who I am. And I'm okay with that. Whether someone else accepts me or not, I accept me. So your challenge for the week is to write an acceptance speech. And I want you to start your acceptance speech like this. Today, I accept me for who I am. I am an ever-evolving into the identity that reflects the inner and outermost parts of me. Then the next part of your acceptance speech, I want you to write, thank you to, just like if you're at the Oscars, oh, thank you, God, for all these blessings and all these roles, and thank my producer. I want you to get down deep. I want you to say, hey, thank you, guy that broke my heart in college because you made me stronger. Thank you, professor that told me I would never make it. Because of that, I found out who I was going to be and how, I was going to thrive in my career. Thank you, love of my life, for being there supporting me. I really want you to go through that in the next part of your acceptance speech. And then at the end of the acceptance speech, I want you to write this. I accept this award on behalf of my identity because I have a sense of self. I am committed to it. I will explore it, and I will internalize it from here on out. Thank you, and have a great night. So I appreciate you guys so much for joining me, supporting S.L.A.Y. I want to thank my board members for, doing their work. I got one of my board members in the room right now. Everybody say, hey, Arvette, waving at Arvette. Hey, girl. Board members have been doing an amazing job just getting you guys connected to who we are. The work we're doing. If this is your first time tuning in, you've just tuned in to our new series, which is called Hashtag for Color Girls Only. And over the next 2 more months now, we'll be talking about shaping things that shape our identity. Next Thursday will just be a recap. So if you missed out on week 1, 2, or if you missed out today on week 3, you can come back next week. And you can recap with us. If you have any personal stories or any testimonies or anything you want to share with us about your experience listening to the series for the past couple weeks, we want you to share that with us. Send it to 9:30 next week, same time, 9:30 p.m. IG or Facebook Live. And that was for M_M Beauty. So DM us. Like, Lauren, week 2 when you talked about X, Y, and Z, that really hit me. And, I want to hear feedback about some of the different activities I've had you guys do. I believe last week, because we talked about childhood experiences, we talked about doing an inventory of the childhood experiences the top 5 childhood experiences that shaped your identity. Next week, the last week of the month, I like to pull people in on the live and just have some live feedback and some live Q&A. So feel free to write your questions out. I will answer them to the best of my ability. And tune in next Thursday, 9:30 p.m. for the recap of experiences, hashtag for Color Girls Only. February, we're going into relationships, y'all. It's going to get a little deep. We're going to go there, but I'll introduce what the weeks will look like for February, starting next week, kind of give you guys a clip of some of the different relationships we're going to talk about. It won't all be about partner relationships, but, parental relationships, friendships, and partner relationships. We'll kind of touch on all of them. So I thank you guys again for tuning in. I appreciate you guys for coming out, tuning in every Thursday, 9:30 p.m., and we'll catch you next week. You slay.